friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I have a crisp, delicious card for you for the fall. I'm using a new bundle that's in the holiday catalog that comes out on September 4th, 2019, and it's called Harvest Hellos, and it comes with this apple builder punch. As you can see, it has an apple here in the stamp set, but also a pumpkin, so it carries over the entire fall season into Thanksgiving. You've got thanks, a pumpkin, you've got a great new set to give all the teachers, you've got a Feel Better Soon, great Get Well card, and then just a nice generic You Make Me Smile, welcome back to school starting. So it's really a cute stamp set. And with this apple builder punch, being able to punch out apples and pumpkins, great idea, Stampin' Up. Thanks a lot. And look at this cute here jack-o'-lantern smile that can go on the pumpkin. But on this card, I was focusing on our fall apples. We've got a red delicious, a yellow delicious, and a Granny Smith. Granny Smith. I'm so used to saying Granny Apple Green. It's a Granny Smith. So of course we have Granny Apple Green. We've got Real Red. We've got So Saffron here. I thought that mimicked really nice, that beautiful mellow yellow of a yellow delicious apple. And then just to pop it up a little bit, I used Garden Green for the leaves to, look a little different from the Granny Apple Green. So we've got a lot of things going on here. A very simple card, but a lot of little details here that really make it a wow. And so looking at this, we can see all the texture. We've got the basket weave here in the basket. We've got the brick and mortar embossing folder back here to mimic like the tile on a backsplash of a kitchen. So we are going to take a little closer look at the materials we're using. Now remember, you can always find the materials that I use on a card on my blog. Underneath my photo on the right side, there's a search bar. Just put in the name of the stamp set, Harvest Hellos, and then you'll be sent to the link with any card that I made using the Harvest Hellos. And so the first thing we're going to do is look at the card base. Now the card base is going to be crumb cake, a nice neutral there. It's going to be 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score it at 4.25 to make a landscape card. So then we're going to have an inside insert, and that's 4 inches by 5.25, and that's just a nice 1/8 inch border all around the 4 sides inside the card. And on the outside, we also have a white here. Now you'll notice on this one, I have a score line. That's a little trick and tip that I use whenever I want to know how far down I want to have the embossing. So I just measure down 2 3/4, and then I just put a score line there. Then when I go to use my embossing folder, let's get it open here. There we go. I can just pop in right where I want to do the embossing there. And then that gives me a surface down here for me to put the rest of the front of the card on. So I just run it through there, and I end up with the brick and mortar up here for the backsplash of the kitchen. And so let's just go ahead and put that on the front of our card. We're just going to have a nice 1/8 inch border around the top, bottom, and the 2 sides. And another trick of having this 5.25 by 4 inch here, it gives us exactly the border there. And then, as you see here, I have the bottom of here is could be the counter, it could be a table, and that was 1.25 by 5.25, and then you pop it right on the bottom there. But I got a little fancy on this one here. Instead of using plain brown, I went ahead and ran it through our Pinewood Planks embossing folder. Now remember, these 2 folders are different now. This is from the older catalog. This is from the newer annual catalog. The newer 3D embossing are a little thinner, so you will need to use a 3D adapter plate. So you'd still do the same thing that you do when you would use your 3D embossing plates with a big shot. You'd pull out that thin plate adapter, or if you have the multi-purpose platform, you lift up that one flap and you would run it through with just one acrylic plate. But now with this one, you're going to want to use that purple 3D embossing plate. So if you haven't picked that up, it's a good idea to do it, because you're going to need it for all of the new 3D embossing folders, and it really does work. It's a lot easier than putting shim after shim of cardstock and trying to figure out which way it works. So I went ahead and ran this 1.25 by 5.25 inch, and it gave me some even more texture here on the front of the card. So now I'm just going to put that here on the bottom of here. And like I said, that having that white the whole entire white panel. It gave me the guidelines of where I wanted that wood to be. So look how neat that looks on there with that texture of like a wooden, actually a lot of countertops are now doing that wood grain too. So that's to me either a table or, you know, counter. Now to make the basket, I took a piece of crumb cake and I used my stitched nested labels dies. I used the largest one and I just cut out a crumb cake die with the stitched nested labels dies. And then what I did is, you can do this either way. You could cut this in half from here, this point, to this point on either side of the long way. Or you can pop it into your, you know, make sure it's straight. Don't just put it in there willy-nilly, but make sure it's straight. Put it into your embossing folder, run it through your Big Shot, bring it out, and then just cut it either with your Stampin' trimmer or your other cutting tools, or you can also use a pair of scissors because it's really forgiving, because as long as you get it semi-straight, you're going to be covering it up with a top there. But as you can see, you're going to get two out of here, and this is the one that was left over after I cut this one out. So you're going to have a basket made from that piece here, and that's going to be your basket that's going to go on the front here of your card. And then just to cover up the top here to give a little bit more dimension there, I used a 1/2 inch by 5 inch piece of crumb cake to just be the little border at the top of the basket. So why don't we go ahead and just put our basket on here. I don't know why my camera's moving here. Kids, sorry about that. That's the second time that that's happened. So I'm just going to put about an equal amount of white on each side of my card. Okay, so we've got the basket there, and we're going to now put on our apples. So what I did with the apples, I just got into my scrap pieces, you can see here, and I just went ahead and I used So Saffron ink on the So Saffron apple. And then you just put in your apple punch, right in the apple punch. And I find it easiest to just put it in this way and punch at the bottom here. And I've got that apple. It might be not punched out perfectly because I have my camera turned a certain way and the special light on so you guys can see, but it's not always the easiest for me to see. Then we've got our Granny Apple Green apple, and we have got our Red Delicious, or in my thoughts, a Gala apple. I don't really like Red Delicious apples. They're kind of mushy. So I like a Gala, a nice crisp one. So we've got our 3 apples there, and we are just going to place those into the basket before we put that border on. Okay, so we're going to put our Granny Apple Green. We're going to put on our Yellow Delicious. That's why it's yellow, Cindy. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and put our border on there, right across the top there. So we'll use some snail there, and we'll put it right across the top of that basket. Look how easy that's coming together. And then we just pop on our, did I pop a dimensional behind? I did. I put a dimensional, and I know they're hiding over here underneath this pile I've made over here. So I'm going to put a dimensional right there, and then I'll put some snail. Not sure where it's going to catch on the paper, but we know it's going to be off to a little bit of an angle. I know an apple wouldn't necessarily be being outside there, but I just thought it was a good dimension for the card. And then I just used the little tag. Now there's a little tag here that's in the Cup of Cheer dies. Remember I made that gift card holder? If you didn't see it, you want to look up the Cup of Cheer dies or the Cup of Christmas card I made, and you're going to use that little die to punch out, to die cut Feel Better Soon. And I thought red was great for that. And I'm going to put a dimensional right there. And we're just going to pop that onto the basket. And then I also used this cute little bow that's in that Cup of cheer. And I'm going to use a glue dot, a mini glue dot to put that little bow on. So just pop it on there, apply a little pressure, and then pull it up, and then just stick that onto the card there. You've got a cute little bow, and that pulls the crumb cake, the soft suede, red, red, and we've got some crumb cake. And then we're going to go ahead and put the leaves on and the stems. Now this cute little apple punch has a stem in it, a stem, and a leaf. So you're going to need 3 stems. 1, 2, 3. And then you have to go through all the garbage and see which were the stems. Okay, and then we're just going to pop the stem in there. And I had put adhesive along the upper part of those apples. So you have your stems there. Now make sure you put a little bit on this one because I don't think I put enough adhesive on the top of the red one. Okay, so we've got our stems, and then I stamped in garden green the leaves, and then I just popped them into the punch, and I can see there that I have one. All right, go to the next one, punch that little guy out. The only thing about this little punch that I wish was in it, but I guess there just wasn't enough room, is I wish that the leaf was punched out too for the pumpkin leaf. But I have to say it was very, very easy to fussy cut. It was really forgiving because I am not a super fan of fussy cutting. So then just put a little bit of adhesive on each of your leaves, find out which way you think a leaf should be going, and put one on your Yellow Delicious, put one on your Granny Apple, and we'll put one right there on the Granny Apple, and then we're going to stick one on our Red Delicious or our Gala. Okay. There we go. So isn't that adorable? So I thought what I would do is carry on into the inside a little piece of an apple, a slice of an apple. So that's going to go here. But before we put it in there, we're going to go ahead and stamp it. And I went ahead and used soft suede, which is, where did I put that soft suede? Oh, here it is over here. I knew it was on my desk. So I'm just going to I'm going to stamp very nice and gently so I don't get anybody seasick. I'm going to stamp that slice of an apple in soft suede, and that just carries the color of soft suede into the inside of the card. And then I'm going to bring my blends over, and I'm going to use the light soft suede, and I'm going to color in the little seed here on my apple. And I used the light one so that you could differentiate between the colors there, that you could see the outline of the seed. And then we are going to use the dark real red, and we're going to color in. I know we usually say to use Memento when you're coloring, but a lot of our colors are safe to use. But in general, it's good to use Memento Black. But on this case, since I just wanted to carry over the soft suede to the inside. And as always, when you're using stamping blends, make sure you hear a click when you shut them so they don't end up drying out on you. And you're also going to have some bleeding to the inside of your card. So that's okay in this case, but if you're using a white card base, you're going to have to either put white on white or die cut it or punch it or whatever, because you don't want to have that bleeding through there. So then we're just going to pop that onto the inside of the card, and that finishes off. That was a super simple card, but yet it has a real wow factor to it because of the little tag, and you've got 3 elements of texture there in the basket weave, in the pine wood planks, and in that brick and mortar backsplash there. So if you have any questions about this card, you can always go to my blog, cindyleebdesigns.com, and you'll see it in the search bar for Harvest Hellos, and I will have all the materials. The YouTube video are your instructions. There are not written step-by-step instructions, but if you need to know any certain thing, I will post it there. But for the most part, you're going to watch the YouTube video, and then if you want to get the colors and the dimensions, I will have those posted on my blog, cindyleebdesigns.com. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.